Go.
Good evening. Good evening to you. I have a new chair. I I am a bit higher. I think that's as high. I think that's as low as I can go.
That's fine.
Hey. Hi, everyone. How are you guys tonight? Whoa. Now, we are so happy to be on. We've gotten so much done this week, and we are really excited because we have visitors coming. So they aren't in the house yet, but we'll be waiting for them. And we told them that they'd be let in a few minutes. So they'll be by shortly, and you know who they are. They're a lot of fun, this couple, the Bland's Promised Land Ranch. So that's Eric and Monica, and they will be joining us shortly. Before that happens, we are going to say hello to all of you. No. Is Ann Dale in the house? Are you here, Ann? Nice to see you if you are. Hey, Rob and Sarah, Curmudgeon. I hope you got to be in here. Chris Davis, I know it's hard. It's hard because you're working and you're in Australia, so it's tough to be here. Hello, Diana. Thank you for coming in. Sorry?
Did you send Bland's in Mumbai?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
Jesse and Lisa, you'll be listening from the road. Have to run again. Oh, I hope that your dad is okay. Is that Jesse? Oh, hello, guys. Thank you so much for popping in anyways. And our very best wishes for your dad, hoping that he's okay. Hey, Kevin, welcome. Good to see you here. Linda Peterson, Wild Home Stars tonight. Woo, starring tonight. Roberta's Artistic Adventures. Welcome. Hi, Tiffany from Canadian Family Life. One of the Canadians on board. TNT Adventures. Hi. Haven't seen you for a little bit. Jamie, so good to see you in here too. And Rushing Wind Mountain, that would be Ruby. Is that right? Ann Dale. See, I knew you were here. I knew it. And that's why I said, hello, Ann, because I knew you were here. Oh, he's okay. Okay, good. Wonderful. So our guests aren't here, but that's okay because we have lots of other things that we can talk about until they get here. And I think that they were expected just a few minutes after we started anyways. So we have had a really great week, except for the smoke. The smoke is wild today again, and we saw an evacuation alert. This fire is 10 kilometers away. So This one is not. Now I'm getting a bit nervous. It's too close. It's too close, this one. Linda Peterson saying hello to all her pals. And thank you. So we want to thank our moderators so much for taking care of us. And we want to welcome everybody that's on Facebook and on YouTube. So, oh, hey, Patty. That's great. Glad that you're here today. So, everybody's saying hello. Anyways, who's that good-looking young? Where?
Behind the brains of the operation.
That good-looking young man. Okay. Next time you see him, guess what's going to happen to him? He's going to look different. He's going to look different. And do you want to know why? Well, because, hi, Marshall, welcome. Frost in the mornings, but warm in the afternoons. And that's kind of how it is here, although we're not getting full on frost yet. Not yet. But, oh, my tomatoes. Yeah. My tomatoes are not looking good right now. Anyways, we'll speak about that in a moment. Ryan's going to be getting a haircut.
Yay! I'm so excited.
Yes, Ryan is going to be getting a haircut, and we are going to do an experiment. So you have to tune in to his haircut because I cut his hair normally, but we have not had time this summer to cut hair. We just haven't, and it's a bit longer than we like to see because in his young days he used to like it long. But you know, when you get past a certain age,
because I was a rock star. I was a rock star back then. Remember that?
No.
For all of you that don't know, I was a rock star back when I was younger.
Okay, not a rock star, but somebody that played.
I was a wannabe rock star.
He was a wannabe rock star. So that's different than a full-on rock star, but that's
I was
okay.
a legend in my own mind.
In your own mind. I was going to say that part is true. So just a moment, we saw Kevin Hilder. Oh, way to go, Kevin. That's great. Thank you for posting that. Good enough. And Thunderstick Homestead. Hey, thanks for coming in. So he's going to be getting a haircut. I'm going to be doing it. And Opal's going to be helping.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Just don't let her do any of the cutting.
That's the part she's doing.
Oh.
Is the cutting.
Well, can't be any worse than it is now.
Yeah. No, your hair doesn't look bad like this. It's just it does need to be a bit shorter. So we're going to do that. And out in the woods like this, we don't have all the regular hair cutting tools. So we're going to do a little experiment and see how it turns out.
Anything sharp, right?
And we will film it, and then you can take a look at that. Cindy, squirrel off grid. So hi, welcome in. Cindy, I don't think you've been on our live before. I don't recognize that name, but welcome. And we're glad that you're here. Brian's in the house from the Vineyard Farmhouse. How are you tonight?
Oh, Eric and Monica made it.
Eric and Monica, there's our pals over there. Now we're just going to make you sit there and just watch you. Yeah. Okay, everybody, you guys ready for the stars of the show? Yeah.
Let's bring them on.
Okay, I want to just get really caught up here again. So yeah, you're supposed to look rugged in the woods. That's true. That's true. He is. And that's Mighty Mouth is Patty. Okay, good. Wonderful. All right, we're going to let our pal. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
We're wonderful, too. We were just talking about, okay, remember when you got the haircut and Eric was not as excited about it?
He wasn't kind. He was just flat out mean.
No.
He wasn't nice. I mean, like he leaned into the comments. It wasn't even like, hey, baby, you got a haircut? Wow. How did you feel about it? It was like, wow, you got a mullet.
I am all about being 100% efficient. And why waste time with the pleasantries? Let's just get to the bottom of it. You know what I mean?
So rude.
That is so hilarious. We were just talking about how Ryan needs a haircut real bad. And so I'm going to be giving him one out here with anything sharp that we can find. And so we're not going to have, the regular hair cutting stuff, right? So we have an axe. We have things. We're going to try. Right, honey?
Are you going to make him lay down on the stump and just fluff his hair out?
Wouldn't that be a fun experiment, though?
Well, it'll be an experiment for sure.
It wouldn't be fun for me. I don't know. Maybe you should look to your right or left, whichever way you got to look. Yeah. Maybe ask him. He might be able to tell you if it sounds fun.
I'm just going to say right now, if I'm absent next week, call the police.
Come looking for the body.
Anyways, we kind of just jumped right into that one. But this is Eric and Monica from Bland's Promised Land Ranch. And we're so excited to have you guys here. We were looking forward to doing that. And then we didn't know if we could do it this week. And then we didn't know if you could do it this week. So here we all are together.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
So for any of our pals here that aren't pals of yours, because we share a lot of pals, this is a family. You guys have 7 children.
We have 8 kids.
You have 8 kids. Do you really? 8 children. You are so blessed. And you have a ranch in East Texas, but you moved from the Eastern United States. So I love to hear what brought you guys over to a ranch in East Texas.
Oh, Eric,
where you go?
What, you gonna let me talk?
I am.
Right on, man. That great.
I'm feeling kind right now.
Let's see. Where do I begin? Let's really finish the story about her hair first.
Okay, yeah, we should probably.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. So as you said, Monica and I actually grew up in Maryland, which is on the East Coast. And it was very interesting. Our story, I'll just take a side note, if I may, for a minute.
Yeah.
That Monica and I grew up probably about 5 to 10 miles away from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically enough, when we first started dating, Monica started talking to my mom about her dad and where he went to school. And they found out that my mom and her dad actually went to the same school. They graduated the same year.
The same high school graduating class at the same high school. So they were both class of 1970, I think. Yeah, 1970. And yeah, they graduated the same exact year from the same class and the same high school and everything. She opened her yearbook up and I'm like, this looks like my dad's yearbook. And I was like, oh, hey, there's my dad. She was like, are you joking me? I was like, no, that's literally my dad. It was so cool. Yeah.
It was so cool.
But we didn't meet each other until high school. So
and then the other interesting part about that was her dad worked for the government and my dad was in the military on the same base
in Fort Meade, Maryland at the same time.
At the same time. So even though my parents never met him prior to us getting engaged or dating or whatever, when they got together, you would have thought they were long lost friends because he had a lot of commonalities with my mom with high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of commonalities of what the military base was like because my dad worked on the same one. And so they shared a lot of stories about, drinking holes and
different things in Fort Meade,
different restaurants and things that they did on the base. It was very, very small world.
Yeah.
But a small world. That is so cool. It was meant to be this little thing.
It was.
So leading from there, like you just said, this was something that God ordained from the very beginning. And so even after we got married, our life has always been a very exciting life. We do a lot of things because we just operate by faith. And, we felt like it was something that God was leading us to do, to vacate everything we knew on the East Coast and move down to Texas. And I remember my brother, because he lives in Houston, that's on the south side or the southern portion of Texas. And he asked, he said, well, where are you going to go? Do you want to come down to Houston? And I said, honestly, man, I don't know where the Lord's going to put us, but I know it's around Dallas. That's all I can tell you. Yeah. And so before you knew it, I was being released from my job in Maryland, but that company that was going to release me paid for us to relocate down to Texas. And we came and looked at like 3 houses. And as soon as I walked in this house, we knew this is where God wanted us to be.
And when he came down to see this house, though, like that's the thing in all of this, his company that he was working for in Maryland, he had been with for like years and years and years. They were like, okay, you want to move to Texas? We keep hearing that you want to move, but do you want to stay with us? And he was like, yeah, I mean, ideally I'd like to stay with the company. And they were like, well, why don't you look down there? And so he came down here and interviewed. And after he interviewed, they called him and they were like, look, this just is not the position for you. We appreciate you coming down here. We appreciate your time. And then they finished it off with, it was actually like a week or 2 later, they called him back and they were like, hey, we know you didn't really fit the position that you came down here for, that you were interviewing for, but we would like to create a position for you within the company that fits your capabilities and what you are ready for. And so they basically took his resume, created a position for him within the company. And then they were like, and since you're staying with the company, we can basically cover, your move up to so much, which basically covered almost the entire move. It was amazing for a family of our size, because I had 7 kids at the time. And so, a family of 9 left a little small town in Pasadena, Maryland, as where we were living. And we came and found a place in Texas. And when he came here to Texas to find the house, he had like a list of houses and he was looking at all these houses, and we had this really great real estate team. And while he was here the second day, he only had 3 days here. And right before the second day he was here, I was like, hey, look, a house, just, how you like when you're looking for places to live, you have like the Zillow list or whatever. And you have all your requirements, right? You have like how much you want to pay, how much this. And so all of a sudden, the day after he got here, a new house came up and dinged on my list. It was like, bing. And I was like, oh, new house. What is this? They happened to drop this house, like, I want to say like 15 grand off what it had been. And I had seen the house and I'm like, yeah, it's not really, I don't know. We can't do that. That's too much for us. And it all of a sudden showed up on our list because they dropped it right into our price range exactly when he was down here. And so he came and looked, and as soon as he came in here, he called me and he was like, Monica, this is definitely the house. And his mom she's so sweet because she was with him, and she was kind of like, are you sure? And she's looking around and she's like, what about this? And he was like, no, yeah, this is it. This is the property. This is the house for us. So just a huge blessing. And, you know, definitely one of those things. But I never even saw the house in person, the property. None of us did, except for Eric and his mom. None of us saw it in person until we pulled up that day in 2014. Like,
and what did you think?
Packed up everything. I loved it. I loved it. I would sit there for days on end because we had been in Maryland for a couple months before we actually moved. And so I would go on the computer when I was like feeling like really just overwhelmed. I would go on the computer and I'd pull up all the pictures of the listing, and I'd look at all the pictures of the house, and I'm like, this is going to be my house. This is my house. This is what we're doing. And it was encouraging. It was like the way the Lord would just constantly encourage me. You're going to be fine. It's going to be good. But it was pretty awesome.
So I would say August 2nd.
August 1st we left, and we got here by August 3rd, basically. It took a couple of days. We made it a few day trip. We stopped in Kentucky. We stopped in West Virginia and saw some family. And yeah, we made it a couple of days.
So that came up in her Facebook feed the other day.
Yeah.
And
last month.
Yeah. So she was looking at that, and, you know, just to see the look of the kid's face.
Yeah. When they walked into the house, it was priceless, because my oldest was 14, and I have a picture of all of them lined up at the door behind Eric because he's getting ready to open the door. Everybody turn around, smile. And my 14-year-old's like, and that's like my favorite picture because no one had seen it either. And they all walked in and they were like, ooh, 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 and they were all excited. And you can see, and my sister, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful. I'm taking pictures, and my sister was with us. She actually followed us down here just to help us unpack, help us to move, take some of that off the edge of me. And her and my brother-in-law were here, and she's recording the whole time. And so
wow.
I have that little bit of her video just recording the kids. The boys go upstairs and they see their bedroom, and they're like, chest bump. And they're like chest bumping and high fiving. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And it was like just the coolest thing to see the kids. And I remember I could hear myself on the thing. And I remember saying it. I looked at one of my younger boys, and he was only 2 at the time. And I'm like, Elijah, do you love this? Look at this is all your yard. Because we lived in a 2-level, 1,100 square foot townhome.
Wow.
It was a townhome with a very small yard, and community rules, HOA rules. We didn't have a backyard with a fence. It was very small. It was perfect for us, and I was content to live there and forever if that's what God wanted. But let me just tell you, I could have never imagined this. This was out of my complete end of my dreams. So yeah, it was a pretty cool experience for sure. And it always is.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
What a total dream come true, hey?
Yeah, truly.
And it all came together, total divine intervention, hey?
It really was.
Yeah.
It was not anything we could have done. Every time I thought something else was going to, go the way like we had planned, it was more like, this is God's plan and we're just walking through it. So it was really awesome.
That's really neat, you guys. That is a neat story, because I've never known. And I always love hearing, how did you meet stories. I always love those so much. I think it's so amazing that your dads knew each other like that too. Yeah,
it was really kind of interesting to know that we had the families kind of lived basically in the same areas, but we never really knew each other growing up. We went to high school together, and we met when I was a junior and he was a senior. He was in my math class, and I started crushing on him super hard. And he didn't want anything to do with me. He like literally walked into class late, like the first day. And the teacher was like, Eric Bland. She was like, what is your phone number? I'm going to call your mom. He's rattling off his phone number in the front of class. And I'm in the very back front row going, writing it down, not even kidding you, like a stalker. It was awful. And then he knew the girl next to me, like in the seat. So during the class time, because mind you, I wrote his phone number down. Like, what was I going to do with it, right? I just had it, like some hopeful person. Had his number written down there. He came to the back when we had class time. We could go and split off into groups and work on our math problems. He came to the back, sat in the seat right in front of me, and like turned around and put his arm on my desk. And I was like, ah! And then I had to cover his phone number and erase it before he saw. so embarrassing because he was sitting talking to the girl next to me because he knew her really well. And I'm like, so yeah, that was the moment.
Side, Eric. How'd that go?
He didn't know who I was. He didn't care about me.
No, I didn't know. All I knew, honestly, when I looked at her, I was like, wow, her mom is still dressing her.
You're so mean. So mean. This is also the guy that we didn't date really until I was a senior. He waited until I had a steady boyfriend. I had a senior. He shows up to the football game one night with his friends. We start chatting after that. I break up with my boyfriend because I'm like, oh man, this Eric guy, he's gonna be my boyfriend. I want this dude. And we try to date and we break up. He says, I can't be your boyfriend. You're like a sister to me. You kiss like my sister. My response was, you don't have any sisters. How do you know what a sister kiss is like? So weird. Needless to say, I was like, well, I really like you. Can we just be friends? Sure, we can be friends. So after like another 2 months of us being friends, because he wanted to break up with me before Valentine's Day, proper. So he waits.
Yeah.
Saving that money, baby.
He waits. He's ready to ask me to be his girlfriend again. Would you know the day he picked to ask me to be his girlfriend? April 1st.
Oh,
April 1st. For any of you that don't know, that's April Fool's Day. That's the day of pranks and jokes. And is he for real? So we're leaving a friend's house. He leans in. You like to lean into car windows, I just realized. Yeah, he leans into my car window as I'm getting ready to pull away from our friend's house after spending the entire evening with him. He's like, hey, by the way, I'd like you to be my girlfriend. Would you like to be my girlfriend again? And I was like, yes. And then I got home and I was telling my friend, I'm like, oh my gosh, Eric asked me to be his girlfriend again. She's like, yeah, it's April Fool's, Monica. Is he for real? And I was like, oh my gosh.
No.
I don't even know. So I didn't say nothing. I figured if I didn't say nothing, he wouldn't take it back. I'm like, no takes backs, or whatever. So, I mean, whatever. He must have been for real because he never broke it off. And then he asked me to marry him in July. So I'm like, hey, it must have been for real, unless we just never really dated until he asked me to marry him in July. And then that's for real because there's no, take backs on that one.
That's cool. You guys are literally the perfect couple, though.
Well, I feel like God knew what he was doing when he made Eric. He made him for me, so I'm good with that.
Yeah. That's sweet. Hey, Eric.
I'm a sweet kind of guy.
Yeah. You can totally see the love, and I just think it's so much fun when you guys can have fun with each other, because some people just can't laugh together. Like we literally laugh all day long about everything.
I want to know how much laughing is going on when you do that haircut, though. That's what I want to know.
It may not be as much, but maybe after there might be a lot after.
She's like, he laughed so hard he cried, and there were tears of laughter, and he's gonna be like, no, it was just tears. Just
tears. Yeah, no laughter actually. We are just that sound like, there you go. That's better. Reminds me of when I walked into my house that I've been at like for 18 years. And it wasn't a story like yours, but I'm not quite as good at holding in it just comes out. If I'm excited or if I'm mad or if I'm happy or if I'm sad, like it's just right there. So when I saw the house that I liked, I literally said to the realtor, I will do anything to get this. And my husband's like, no, shh. Like, you don't do that. And I ended up with it, but it sounds like you guys did it with a bit more of a modicum of modesty.
Before she even took possession, she was over there raking the lawn.
I know. We didn't even own the house. I was waiting and we didn't even have an offer. I mean, we didn't have anything. I was there like the next night after I saw it, but I wanted that house so bad. Aww. So anyways, that was meant to be too, I think.
I love that.
Same thing happened when we were buying the island. She tells the realtor, what? There's other people interested? We'll pay anything. Nice. I'm like,
You're like, no, Melody, you cannot talk to the realtor directly. You're going to have to stay off to the side. And next time you talk to a realtor, Melody doesn't know how to communicate with realtors. So it's going to just be me. It's just going to be Ryan.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to have
Exactly.
to cover
Linda
it,
Peterson,
cover his bases.
I would rake the lawn. Yeah, see, Linda, we're kindred
love it.
spirits, aren't we? Welcome, Carrie Leonard in. Welcome, welcome. And also I saw Josh from Sherman's Family Farms.
Yep. God always knows. Yep.
Yeah, he does. He does, doesn't he? Oh my.
He really
So
does.
you guys so what do you do now there in East Texas? Do you have the ranch, and how many acres is it? What exactly do you have on your ranch?
So I have a full-time job that I work in the city, downtown Dallas, and so it's, as I try to explain to people, because I've had people ask me before, is living on the ranch really that much work, or you're just making videos? And
we're just making videos.
I was like, brother, you don't know the half of it. But when we came down here, the whole intent was to get to a place where we could raise our own food. And so we had to find a place that had enough acreage. And so where we live, we have 10 acres.
Nice.
And a big portion of that is for the cattle. However, from a business perspective, we've branched out and we work with different families. We've had, some families have been with us from the beginning, some that have just kind of come and gone with additional lease land. And I basically use that as a way for them to keep their agricultural exemption. And I keep up the fences and help keep their grass cut for them by putting cows out there. So
that's neat.
That's usually where the places where our cows get out. So if you ever see us at a place where a fence is down, it's typically at another location. Although we just had one of the fences go down back in the back of our pasture here, but it's still not our fence. It's actually our neighbor's fence. And so when you have neighbors and it's their fencing, you have to be cool about how you're going to get that fixed and all that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So how many cows do you have then?
Just roughly, I would say we have probably about 25 head
right now, because we have babies that we have that hit the ground this year. So that's including all of our little babies and our current ones that are going to go to process this year. And
that's funny. We have babies that hit the ground this year.
Wow, that's a huge amount of work, though, isn't it? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. It definitely takes time, especially when they're in different locations. The other night was a Tuesday night. Eric was coming home. He calls me on his way home and he's like, hey, we don't have anything going on. So I'm going to go ahead and go over and pick up the cattle from the other pasture that they're at. And he tells me where, and I'm like, okay. He said, we don't have anything going on though. So I can just go grab them. I'm like, I got to record for the podcast tonight. And so I can't come and help you. So I get the 15-year-old, the 13-year-old, and the 11-year-old. And I say, y'all need to go out there. I need you to go get the pickup truck. I need you to hitch up the trailer and I need to get it ready. So when dad walks in the door, you can eat dinner and you can go. And so my 18-year-old daughter went out, helped the 15-year-old and the 13-year-old hitch the trailer, grab the truck, bring it up to the front, get everything ready so that the minute he got home, all he had to do was change his outfit, get himself some food and go. But when we have all the animals here, it's much easier, but it's so much more work when you have to go get the animals and maintain them at different places. So that makes it a lot, but it's really nice to be able to know that we have older kids to help. I think that if we were a smaller family, or if I had really a lot more younger kids, I don't think we could run this many head. We would probably only have a few head of cattle. It wouldn't make sense for us with him having a full-time job outside of the home for us to still have more than 20 head of cattle at one time with a smaller group of children, young age-wise. He's looking at me like, no. But when we first got here, we only started with 3 head. When we got here in 2014, first thing he wanted to do was get a horse. And so we got a horse. That didn't work out.
Oh.
That didn't work out. We're not horse people. Eric tried to ride the horse bareback more than once.
I think, you know what?
And he got thrown off.
I think Monica kind of forgot the question. Let's get back onto the subject.
Needless
here.
to say.
So we have the cows.
20 head.
we have pigs. We have rabbits, turkeys.
Pigs?
Pigs. Yes.
Yep. Turkeys, rabbits, chickens, of course, ducks. The turkeys, rabbits, cows, and the pigs, that's our main source of
Meat.
food.
Yeah. We try to raise as much of our meat as possible. I mean, I think that the only meat source we don't really raise that we still go and buy is chicken every now and then. And I try not to buy chicken. He hates when I buy chicken, but it's just, it's easy. And he likes the chicken, the kids like chicken breast, the kids like chicken meat. And yeah, I don't buy it as much as I try not to buy it as much as I can, but
what do you use your own chickens for then? Just the eggs?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, I see.
We use them for the chicken eggs and then the duck eggs, and then we can eat them, and we just could, but then we don't have really the dual purpose meat birds, right? Or chickens right now, where they're a little bit less, they're less beefy. So in order to take them and process them out, it just takes more time. And for us, time is really important because we have so many animals to care for. On the weekends, we really have to prioritize what we're going to do.
So. I think you guys are amazing. I mean, Eric's got a full-time job, and don't you homeschool, Monica?
I do. Yep. I homeschool my kids. I have 5 kids left in school. I do homeschool.
Sometimes.
What are you talking about? So yeah, I homeschool all 5 of the youngest ones. My oldest 3 have graduated. And so, yeah, I homeschool the youngest 5. The older few, the 3 older ones, the 15, 11, and 13-year-old, they do a lot of their curriculum. They do some online curriculum. I've set up Christian curriculum that they can do. The rest of it is done with me, and we do them in large group. And then on Fridays, we have a co-op we go to. So I teach at the co-op. I run the drama club there. And then my kids are taking some classes there. So we kind of do things, but the co-op and the homeschool itself is just, it's such a great thing for them. So yeah, we stay home and do our thing here.
Great lifestyle for them to be on the 10 acres with all the animals, and oh man, that'd be terrific.
So does everybody live at home still, or are you slowly losing them?
The oldest got married in 2021. And so he actually got married, and then they had the reception here on the ranch, which was awesome. Eric was,
nice.
When we first started, we'd only been doing YouTube for about 6 months at the time. And yeah, it was only about 6 months. And he put together a video of how we turned the farm into a reception for them. And it was really fun. And so it was really cool to see them. And I absolutely adore my daughter-in-law. She's amazing. But so everybody else lives here still. My second oldest, he's 21, and he'll be getting married next October. So he'll be here until next summer sometime. And then probably in the summer, he'll move out, have a couple months under his belt without being here with us, so he can get established. It's always good we encourage our boys, or any of our kids, really, our boys, we're not going to tell our daughter to do this, but our boys to go out to get established for a few months before they get married, so they know what it's like. They're able to make sure their bills are doing what they need to do, and they're able to kind of do that and have that situated for the bride to come into their house together. So that's what Caleb did, my oldest, and that's what Eric's dad kind of did for us. And that's what we're going to encourage all our boys to do.
That's really smart. You know, when my boys were, so I've got identical twin boys. They're 25 now. They are going to school in Dallas. So they're getting their doctorates in chiropractic medicine in Dallas. So that's why we were there for so long. Like we were in Dallas for how many months last year?
3.
Yeah. We were in Flower Mound, Texas. Flower Mound, Texas, in our RV. Close. Yeah, it was so much fun. But what I was gonna say was that I homeschooled those boys. Mm-hmm. And I just find I'm going through a weird stage in life, like right now. And it's becoming a bit, I don't know if it's a problem or not, or if it could become a problem, but I see small children and I just think, I wish I could take them home.
Yeah.
I wish I could have those children to raise, because like the world is going weird. The world is going weird. And so when you see a family that has it all together and they're raising their children and they're homeschooling, or it makes you so happy and it gives you so much faith and hope. And then you see other things going on and you're like, I'm going to steal those children. I'm going to steal them, take them. And maybe it's not the best
children.
Yeah, exactly. And so have a whole bunch of little children here and raise them. And I know it could be a problem. That could be a problem, but I don't know. I just miss those days. I miss them.
that might be a legal issue right there. We don't-
Ryan's like, hey, Melody, we went back to town and I noticed we have a really big bag in the back of the vehicle. It's moving. Did you happen to take a child from the store?
Yeah, I
Look,
know.
Mom left it.
it's mom.
Yeah, it's mom. Mom left
you
it.
you still have some at home, right? So, and I have none. Like my
Yeah.
oldest daughter's in the UK. She has a brand new baby. Then
Oh.
my other daughter's in Ohio with 3 little girls, and then my boys. And I'm just like, I would do anything to have one of them back in my house. So
Well, look, we're all about making people's dreams come true. If you
Yeah.
would like us to ship some your way,
Well, what age do you prefer?
tell
Teenagers?
tell us what you need. You need a strong back, one that doesn't talk too much. I got it. You want one that won't stop talking? Got one of those.
We've got one of those.
one of those too.
Yeah, we have one that constantly. The other morning, was it yesterday morning? It was like, I don't know. It was like 7:30, and I was woken up a few times, and I was laying there. And I'm not a morning person. We're not early morning homeschool people. Okay, that's not us. That's not the life we live. And so my son comes in, and he's talking to me, and it's like 8:15, and he's been talking to me for at least 10 minutes, and I'm like, dude, I'm tired still. I don't want to talk to you right now. And I'm laying in bed. He's like, blah, 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 blah. And then he says to me, finally, after like 20 minutes of just constant, just talking to me, I look over and I'm like, bud, he's like, are you awake enough to help me with my schoolwork right now? Because I really need to get some stuff done that I was wanting you to help me with last night, but I didn't want to come bother you because you were recording on your video. So I'm wondering if maybe you could help me now. And I'm like, bro, it's 8:30. I am not awake enough to help you. I'm going to go back to sleep. I will help you later. I love you. He's like, okay, cool. Thanks, Mom. And he like walks out, but he was like, I'm so sorry. Please leave me alone. But he was like, do you think you're awake enough? And I'm like, no. I started snoring 5 seconds ago. I'm not awake enough. Do you think I'm awake enough?
Are you a morning or an evening person, you guys? Which of you?
I'm totally a
You're
night
not
owl.
morning.
I'm definitely
You're a night
not
owl?
a morning person.
Yeah.
Yeah, my schedule, I usually get up around 5:15 in the morning and get in bed around midnight.
Yeah, he's a night owl by nature, though. That's the problem, because I could honestly be like, all right, Eric, it's 10 o'clock. Kids are in bed. Let's get to bed. Let's go to bed. And this man will be like, okay, you want to watch a show? And I'm like, okay, let's put a show on. And then he'll start to fall asleep, but then he can't get to sleep. And then it's like constant. Like he just doesn't sleep. Finally, by like midnight, he's drained enough that he can go to sleep. But even if I get in bed and say, no, let's not watch anything, he'll stay on his phone or he'll watch a show or watch something on his phone until midnight. So it's like, I try to get him to sleep earlier, but yeah, he's a night owl by nature.
How do you survive on only 5 hours of sleep a night? How do you do it?
He's a zombie.
I can't answer that.
He just does. He's been doing it for 25 years.
You know, it's one of those things, like I told Monica the other day, because it's been a very busy season for me, and I was explaining to her, I'm just kind of in automatic mode right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll get some time off soon. But you know, I mean, that's the thing, when you live on a ranch or a farm, you don't really have time off. I mean, you know, I mean, it's stuff that we love to do most of the time, and then that's the stuff that you don't like to do that kind of gets tossed in. But you know, I think one of the biggest things, you know, to your point earlier, Brian
said it's called circadian rhythm sleep disorder.
One of the things you had mentioned earlier about, you know, people that trying to raise your kids the right way or whatever, you know, the opportunity that we have here on the ranch to help our kids learn how not to be afraid to work and get their hands dirty means a lot. And I talk about this a lot, especially with my older kids, because when they were coming up, and, you know, as a 14 and 12-year-old, when we first moved here, and I would say things like, you know, if you work hard, you will always have a job. If you take time to do a good job, you will always have an income of some sort, some way or another. And, you know, when I had my oldest son come back to me at some point in time and say, you know, Dad, remember when you say that if you work hard, you'll always have a job? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, you know, I was working with such and such at the feed store, and they were complaining. They were just complaining about work and about how hard it was. And he said, I turned to him and I said, if you want to know what real hard work is, you need to go to my dad's farm. he'll show you what the difference is. And so they understand what real hard work is, not, somebody having a bad day because they got yelled at by somebody or,
Exactly. Yeah.
So these kids, they don't really understand a lot of it until they get out in the work world.
Mhm.
But, these kids that we have, like Monica was saying the other night, we went out to pick up 7 head of cows. I had a 15, a 13, and 11-year-old.
That was it. There was no
And
adults.
we had the trailer backed in place, cows in the corral, and loaded in the trailer in less than 30 minutes.
And mind you, it was dusk. It was like the sun was starting to go down. So it was going to be getting more difficult as the time got quick. I mean, when it gets dark, it gets dark and it just gets dark fast. Like you're like, okay, yeah, it's almost dark. I'm like, hey kids, put the animals away. It's getting dark. By the time they get outside, it's like 15 minutes. It's dark. It's just dark.
Yeah.
And in the country and where they were going to this field, it was going to get dark very quickly. And I was so happy that the animals loaded as fast as they did, because it could have gotten really difficult to load when it got really dark out there.
But and the thing that I like to take from that is using this as a way to encourage them to understand that they can do difficult tasks.
Yeah.
That they can take the time to figure out how to do something that at one point in time they had no clue what to do. And that's the lesson that they learn from that. And so hopefully as they get older, I know for the older two, it has been a little bit of a struggle for them to feel encouraged and to be confident in the things they can do. And so, even from a parenting perspective, I think that I've changed a little bit in that sense to make sure that these little ones for sure understand that, hey, if you can do this here, you can do anything. You just got to put your mind to it and figure it out.
Yeah.
It's so nice that you have the presence of mind to actually instruct your children in that way. A lot of parents are just on autopilot. Their kids are raised by the TV or the internet, and you guys are actually doing it right. I'm really proud of you.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We take a lot of pride in, first of all, we want to live the way the Bible tells us to do it.
Sure.
That's why I try to tell these guys, don't be afraid to work. Don't ever look at something as being beneath you. As the Bible says, work as you work unto the Lord. So every day that you get out there and every day that you're working, give it 100%, give it everything you got, and don't just be a quitter. Get out there and just get the job done. I mean, it's really not that big of a thing. And the biggest part about that is at the end of the day, when you can look at what your own hands did, what you built, what your mind was able to work out, that through the, a solution process or whatever the problem may be, that's when you really feel good about what you've done.
Yeah.
Because you can, you know what? Yeah, I can do that. What's the next project? Like, let me add it.
Exactly. I mean, is it just me, or are we noticing a trend with kids not working very well? Like, I don't know. Is it just me, or like when we go through drive-through or when we go to a store, like just the other day, like I've never had such bad service. Like service. I mean, my first job was at McDonald's, and I could never, and even to this day, I still feel guilty if I'm sitting. If I sit, I'm like, oh, what should I be doing? I should be doing something. Or, but when I was young, my first job was like at 15, and we never ever just sat. We worked. Now I'm like, you're hard pressed to get service. Like I feel like I have to serve myself, and that's fine.
They seem so disinterested and entitled,
and kind of mad, that you're there. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so sorry, but like, what's happening? Is it just me, or do you guys notice this at all?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, and the interesting thing, without getting too much into the detail, with what I do, I hire my new people in. And there's been several people that are younger that when I ask them, like, what is your goal? And they're like, well, I want what you have. And I said, well, I mean, it's achievable, but you got to put the work in for it.
Right.
It's not, I didn't get what I have because I just sat around and waited for somebody to hand it to me. I went out there and put my 100% effort into it all the time, putting myself through school. all the schooling on top of my regular work days, when I had kids or didn't have kids or whatever life throws at you, you find a
Yeah.
way to push through.
Yep.
And so there's
Right.
been several people that I've talked to, and they do have this idea that not just I can achieve what you have and that's what I want. It's more like what you have now is what I want. And I'm
Right.
like,
And it's
yeah. And I was like, bro, when I was 25, you have to understand, I too was struggling. I too was living from paycheck to paycheck, but you have to work for that.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that, with a lot of the handouts that people get, not necessarily just from a, not go into a political viewpoint of things, but just life as a whole, because everywhere you go, that's how people are drawn in, right? By things that are given to you for free, or I'll give you
Yeah.
50% off if you purchase that. It's so everybody is always looking for a quick way to get this quantity or bulk of whatever they want. And,
right.
nobody sits down and tells them, you have to work hard. You have to put the time in.
Yeah.
It almost seems like parents are afraid of their children because they want to be their friends instead of their instructors. Because really, you're trying to teach them life skills that they're going to take with them forever. And hard work is an absolute blessing to instill hard work into the mindset and paradigm of your children.
Because it's really not doing them any favors if you don't, right?
No.
You can't coddle them.
And that's the thing, and that is a really cool thing for us because we have 8 kids that are spread out.
There's a 16-year difference between the oldest and the youngest. And there's about 2 years in between each one, except for number 3 and number 4, because I got a puppy in between number 3 and number 4. So, so I got a puppy. That was my 2006 baby, if you will.
Yeah.
But then basically it's 2 years. So there's a big age gap there.
But what I was getting at before
Continue.
But what I was getting at was, when you think back of the conversations that you had with your, what is that called? The parents that are like raising kids at the same age.
Your peers,
Sure. But like our oldest kids, when they get up to like the 21, 22-year-old age, and then you think about the difference of how you raise your kids compared to them. And, ultimately it's whatever people feel comfortable with, that's what I always try to explain to people. But when you look at the way that you did yours and you look at the way they did theirs, and theirs are the ones that's getting in trouble, they're getting put in jail, and you think back of when they first started where they just let their kids get away with anything. And they're like, well, they're just kids, they'll learn. And it's like they're learning because they're in jail or in handcuffs at the time.
Well, we also parented differently. I mean, you're older. Your 2 girls are older than your boys, right? So did you notice the difference, the shifting of how you parented maybe your girls versus your boys?
I think really because they were girls and because they were boys. So not even like a time span so much, just the fact that the girls were, they were 14 and 12 when the boys were born, and the girls were so compliant, and they were good, and they were obedient, and they would sit and read their little storybooks. The boys came and they were so defiant, and we gave those beautiful little storybooks to them, and then literally in 5 seconds they were shredded, ripped, torn, jumping off things. Like our whole family used to sit there and watch them, and we'd go, why are they doing that? Because like they were jumping and like things that the girls never did, and we just had no comprehension of how different they would be. And then because they were twins, I think they just thought, well, if he thinks it's funny, then all is well. It doesn't matter if mommy and daddy tell me not to do this. If brother thinks it's funny, it goes. And that's just kind of the way they were until they were 5. Things changed at 5, and they began to realize that there was a world going on around them, and that some of the way that they were behaving was not appropriate. So they changed completely because they were kind of naughty before them. And then they changed completely, and they're the most beautiful, lovely Christian young men. I'm so blessed to have them. but yeah, no, they're wonderful. All of my children love God, have a relationship with him. It's very important to them, and I'm very grateful. But yeah, so different, those kids, so different.
Yeah.
And even the twins, they're mirror image twins. So one is left-handed, one's right-handed. Everything is opposite. Cool. Yeah, but and they're very different. They're very different from each other, but they're both amazing. But yes, very different.
We only had one girl, and we have all this set. We have 7 boys and 1 girl. And my oldest 3 are now adults, and my daughter still lives here, and she kind of will just run the show. I mean, like literally tonight I was talking to Eric, and I'm texting her, and I'm like, hey, I'm talking to Dad real quick. I'm going to need you to get the kids in that, get the kids in the kitchen, let them, tell them to, wash their hands, get the boys in there and get a loaf of bread and get some butter so that they can, have butter with bread if they want for dinner. And she's like, yep, got it. You don't want it. Now, I could have texted the same thing to my 21-year-old son, who is, I mean, he's an adult. He's, the older of the 2. This dude would have been like, okay, yeah.
Mom said,
Mom
said dinner's in the kitchen. Get it when you're ready.
No, yes. But so there's very very big difference. But I will say that, girls and boys are very different, but the ages, it cracks me up because my oldest, the 23-year-old now will say, when we were little, we would have never gotten away with that. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm old now. Okay.
I'm tired.
I'm not 23 anymore. Okay. I'm tired. I'm choosing my battles a little more wisely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, my baby, the youngest of the family, he's disciplined, but he's definitely more feral than the rest of them were. He is definitely a feral child. He was outside watering the animals the other day in bare feet. And I'm like, dude, you're in bare feet watering chickens and ducks and turkeys. He's like, yeah, I know. You're in bare feet in mud that's probably not actually mud. I'm like, you're going to get pinworms. He's like, I haven't gotten pinworms yet. And I'm like, I can't. I'm not. Okay, whatever. Yeah. I was like, let me know if your butt itches. Okay, that's all I gotta say. Like, I don't like. That's the conversations I'm having with a 7-year-old now. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, let me know if your butt itches. Like, that's all I got to say now. Like, I don't even, this is a battle I'm not going to fight anymore. Like, I'm not interested in fighting the battle of putting your boots on. Put your boots on. I don't have boots. Put your boots on. My boot has a hole in it. Put your boots on. I don't know where that boot is. I don't even care anymore. As long as you have clothes on for church, clothes on for homeschool co-op, and you're not being inappropriate in public or here too. I don't really want you to be inappropriate. I'm fine. These are the battles that I fight. Don't be inappropriate. Don't be ugly. Don't be rude to people. And we're going to be good. I'm like, that's it. I just can't. I mean, my oldest kids, I'd have been like, get your shoes on. You're going to get pinworms. I can't deal with that. Do you know what pinworms do? And then I would have found a picture online, showed them pinworms. I would have like scared it out of them. And then they would have always
scared the pinworms out of them?
Scared the idea of pinworms right out of them. Oh, okay. They would have been afraid of their hinds, and it would have been bad. And it would have been great. It would have been warm. I would have been fine. I don't have that in me right now. I'm too busy for that. My brain can't take that time right now to show him pictures of pinworms and to deal with that. So done. Plus, he won't care. The other day, we were leaving Awana clubs. We were coming out of Bible study. And I said, hey, buddy, now he's struggling with reading and with his letters and stuff, which is fine. He's just turned 7. I'm not pushing it. I don't push my kids into reading. It's like all of a sudden they'll just read. It's fine. Yeah. And I said, hey, you need to read. So you need to really practice. We need to practice your reading some more, because the better you get at reading, the more you can read your Bible verses by yourself. He's like, yeah, I don't need to. You guys can read it for me. And I was like, yeah, but I was like, if you don't learn to read, you're going to be a dummy. You want to be a dummy? He's like, yeah, it's fine. Wow. I was like, now, if I would have said it to any of my other children, they'd have been like, I don't want to be a dummy, Mom. I don't want to be a dummy. I want to read. No, he's completely content being a dummy. I'm like, you just want to be a dummy? He's like, yeah, it's fine.
You want to be a dummy?
I was like, okay, well.
I just, I want to.
The older kids do chime in. They're like, you want to be a dummy? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
And then they scoff at him and call him a dummy.
Well, the thing is that he just doesn't care. And I'm like, well, I guess that's a battle I'm going to have to fight.
So, the thing is that I really enjoy doing lives like this because I get a better insight as to what's going on when I'm at work.
This is at Sunday. This is
So,
in Bible
so
study.
I see the struggles, the barriers I have to tear down when we're out there mending fences at the middle of the night, trying to encourage these kids to be hard
Mom's
workers.
calling you a dummy. It's okay, guys. Don't worry. Work with your hands. You'll never have to worry about reading, kids. What is that?
Mom will be wrong. We'll show her.
Well, he doesn't mind reading, but anytime I say, okay, we need to get working on our schoolwork, time for your story, and he'll say, oh, do I have to read it? And I'm like, no, I'm going to read the story to you, and you're going to reiterate to me the story. We'll do like a Charlotte Mason style. I said, well, you're going to tell me what the story was. See, come to think of it, my butt has been itching. That's because you go outside with no shoes. Bare feet, you're going to get pinworms in your butt. You know how to get them out? You have to take like tape and like tape them off and stuff. It's bad news.
Yeah,
You don't want pinworms.
That's
What?
it.
It's something gross. I don't know
that's-
all the details, but you
yeah.
have to like take tape and like get the pinworm eggs off the butt.
Isn't
Go in
that,
your
isn't that a
butthole.
Brazilian wax job or something?
No, it's bad.
Oh,
Pinworms are
Give
no
me my
good.
phone. I've got to look at this.
Don't Google it.
No, I won't.
Needless to say, I will say that, I'm choosing my battles a little more wisely as I've aged. And so my older kids will often say to me, well, you didn't do that with us. And I'm like, yeah, well, you were more compliant. I mean, I don't know.
Well, look,
I'm
just
not.
tell them they didn't have the pinworms.
Yeah,
so
but
that's
they
your
were
thing.
afraid. They were afraid. So
I'm afraid.
Linda
got-
Peterson. Linda
She knew how to do it.
knows everything.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
I mean,
fine.
She knows how to do it.
She knows
Yeah.
how to get rid of pinworms.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's scary. I don't ever want to have to do it.
Yeah.
Because
Tish
they
is-
don't sell ivermectin anymore, so I can't just go get the horse paste and make my kids have horse paste to get rid of their worms. So it's not. I'll be going to the feed store. Hi, my kid has pinworms. She'll be like, "Here's the ivermectin." Like that's not a thing.
Wow, the things you learn. Hey, I mean, I had no idea.
Pinworms. Take medicine, not tape. Yeah, I mean, medicine definitely works, but I'm thinking the tape thing is scary. Like I'm not doing that.
The tape thing
Yeah.
sends the message home.
Yeah, that's what I. They're the older kids. I can't just be like, you can have medicine and the pinworms go away.
Yeah.
Pinworms are scary.
Got tape like your rip starting a lawnmower, and that's it.
Yeah, right?
Not tape forward.
Andale does make a good point. You do have to wash everything in the house, and it's awful. I'm not interested in that. I don't even like to wash my regular laundry. Why would I want to wash everything else? Like that means I would have to wash
Fair.
everybody's sheets, everybody's everything. I'm not interested in that. That's a lot of laundry.
It's a lot of work.
I already have a lot of laundry.
We got other things to do.
Oh,
I have too many other things. Yeah, Brian says tweezers. That would not be good.
That'd be a long process.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not
Tweezers in a
using. Don't worry, Jesse. I'm not using ivermectin for him. Okay. This bro tells me his butt itches. I'm taking him right to my doctor, and they are natural doctors, but I have a feeling they'll be prescribing one of these things for him. But
have you noticed how Jesse's ticking these whole schedule right off in front of us?
yeah, he is.
Now, why would that be, Jesse?
Sounds like he's speaking from experience.
Well, he does have a bidet, so he doesn't have any issues with pinworms.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
But you know what Jesse does have too that we were very impressed with is like a 30,000 line database of things that he just picks up on, like channels and people. And
Yeah.
so he's got this on there. He's got this
Random-
little bit of info on there. Yeah.
Random facts. No, one day
That's
at a time,
funny.
Farmstead. Eric does not help me do pinworm cleanup because I've never had to deal with pinworms. That's why I've never had to deal with them because I've scared all of my other children into not getting them. So I'm trying to scare the 7, but the 7-year-old, but the number 7-year-old, the 7-year-old doesn't care. He gives no craps about anything. Nothing. Doesn't care.
Who would he be more like of the two of you?
Yikes. I don't know, actually.
We don't really claim him.
Yeah, he looks just like Eric's family. I mean,
he is
literally a spitting image of his brother.
He's a good helper, though. He would be a really good candidate to come up and keep you busy.
He is a good candidate. He likes to garden. He's an outdoorsman. He's very
You want
helpful.
to take on a 7-year-old, Heidi?
Oh, I'd love to take him on. Yeah.
You know,
I
wow,
would.
that would be really hard. I don't know if I could give him up, but if it would bring joy to you guys, I might be able to get myself to do
We'll
it.
consider it.
We'll consider.
Talk to him.
Man, we gotta stop by and see you when we're in Dallas next spring.
So how
Yes.
far are you guys from Dallas? Like how many people in here are from Texas? Because I feel like we've got a lot of visiting to do.
We
when
could have a
go.
huge Texas thing, a meetup or something. We're only about 50 minutes east of Dallas. So we're not
Okay.
too far. It's 2
know
hours for him to drive home, but we're just like east, like a little southeast, but just east, a little bit south. I mean, like,
So do you know where the I was just gonna say, do you know where the bidet is? Do you know where Flower Mound is?
yeah, exactly. We actually were, when we visited here a couple years back, I had to take we were staying in Dallas before we moved here. We were staying in Dallas for a conference he was at, and I had to take my youngest to Flower Mound at the time. He had an ear infection, so we had to drive up north to Flower Mound to go there. My son goes to Wiley, which is kind of towards that area. We have a asthma specialist in Wiley, and yeah, we only live right outside of Rockwall County. We live in the next county over. So Rockwall is a little square county that's up against Dallas. And we just live right on the outside of that.
Oh wow! Oh
Yep.
wow! Okay, well, I don't want to check this. You guys
Yeah.
are going to your live.
We gotta
set
go.
right now. Yeah, plans. Promised Land Ranch. Anybody in here? You guys just skip over to theirs,
Get on over to their live.
and we'll probably do that too in just a few minutes. Thank you guys so much for coming.
It's
Thank
been
you for
super
having
fun.
us. We appreciate
Yeah,
it. Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, see you soon, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye, everyone. Thanks for
Where's
coming.
your-